Good evening to all the friends. There is a question from Rameshwar Chaube ji. Swamiji, you explain truth of human nature aloneness is reality, but very few person dare to live in aloneness. All relation based on give and take, but no soul love. Rameshwar Chaube ji, normally we are discussing all the time whether I write or I speak. I use the Hindi language, but there are few friends, they always write in English. Well, I don't mind, so we can uh, gossip in English. Yeah, this is not a lecture, this is not the that I am answering your question. Simply enjoying with the playing with the words, but behind the words there is some kind of a indication, finger pointing to the moon, because your question come out of little bit confusion. You have answered also in your question that human nature is aloneness is the reality. Of course, we are born alone. Not only the human nature is aloneness is reality. Things and the peoples and the trees and the birds and animals, wherever life exists in particular form, it have aloneness, and that aloneness is its beauty, its grandeur, and its joy. You look all the trees, even they look sometime next to each other, but they are alone. So we are born alone, but we born in a family. Human being is born in a family. There are particular birds, animals, they live in the not family but like a group. So when we are born in the family, we born alone as long as we don't understand the language, the words, we react on the sound. We feel the touch of the mother, the father, the anybody who are loving, hold us. We enjoy it, and small children are very sensitive. Somebody else who don't have feeling of love and touch, they start crying or they are afraid. They don't want to go to them. So we are born with the particular sense of feeling, even though we are not born with the particular language, Hindi, English, Gujarati, Marathi, Chinese, German, American. No, we are born with the full of sensitivities, and we born alone. So is when we depart from the world, we pass by alone. Does not matter how many people surrounding us, but in particular moment, most people become unconscious and they simply disappear, dissolve into the nothingness. We cannot figure out exactly what happens unless we experience death before the physical body dies. So, question is meaningful, but still there is some kind of misunderstanding because you include the relation also, give and take, but no soul love. This kind of question comes intellectual question, we call it. I don't mind my language. You are a very well educated person. That's why you ask in English. So the thing is, unless person meditate very deeply, and aloneness is experience also, and is in the beginning is very difficult unless it happens suddenly. You are doing some kind of meditation, you're doing dynamic meditation or any other meditation, and finally when you in the end you sit down or lie down. So unless it happens in your own experience, you cannot understand really aloneness, because the mind is always chattering inside. There is no gap between the two thoughts, so we don't have this feeling of aloneness. Most people feel loneliness and they are afraid of loneliness. That's why we want to do something, or we want to listen to the music, listen to the talks, go to the films, or meet the friends. or any things, we want activity. As long we are awake, we want to include, we want to join something, this or that. And that is no, normal. It's not bad or good. It is the nature of the society. And that society or living togetherness, it create kind of a mind, we call it samuhik man, collective mind. And that is we thinks this is me. The collective mind program us. We become Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Yahudis, Parsis, Jaina, or communist or fascist or I don't know, so many, and then more and more. So this society create this kind of hodgepodge. So we call it complicated human beings, which we are product. We are not being. Beingness is aloneness, and unless person experience this aloneness, it is only a thought, and thought of loneliness create this kind of fear. And you ask about soul love. Soul love means there is another soul and you are the soul, and then love between two. In the words, soul love exists, but I don't think so. It have any reality, because the universal consciousness is just one. And when you experience this, there is no other exist in that moment, or you cannot call it time. When you come out of that experience, then you have a sense of time, that I was sitting there for 1 hour or 2 hours or 10 minutes or 5 minutes. But there is no even the sense of time, only pure present. And not that you are present, there is simply a presence. So those experience, when it happened suddenly, then you have experience of aloneness, that there is no other. So how can there be a relationship or relation with anybody else? You exist, and whatever you experience, there is no otherness. Other does not exist. Even if you see, for example, if you see the light, then the light and you are the one. The object and subject both become one. That's what the I have pondered over many times before I went through this experience. Krishnamurti says observer become the observed, or this kind of paradoxical words. Anybody who have little experience, they try to explain it, but you cannot put into the words that kind of because there is no experiencer, only experiencing. So I cannot tell you exactly, uh, because this aloneness is beautiful, but when it is not your own experience, it is loneliness, and loneliness need to relate with somebody, this or that, things, peoples, animals, anything. We need others, and we are born in family, in society. We are used to live together with the people, so we have little fear to be alone. But going through meditation, little trying 10 minutes, 15 minutes, sit alone, half an hour, 1 hour, when you enjoy it. There is a lot of meditation methods, especially vipassana, or watching the breath coming, going. So when you pay attention to your own breath, sometimes you create the possibilities. Anyway, we don't want to discuss too much about it, because you cannot make other person understand this unless you experience it. So I will recite my poetry. Maybe it give you indications. फेसबुक पे मेला देख रहा हूँ, फेसबुक पे मेला देख रहा हूँ, खुद को अकेला देख रहा हूँ। ख्याल आते हैं और जाते हैं, ख्याल आते हैं और जाते हैं, कैसा झमेला देख रहा हूँ, फेसबुक पे मेला देख रहा हूँ। तो ये देखना हो रहा है, ऐसा नहीं है कि जब मैं हूँ, words, when I use the who, it is only words, but there is no I include in this who. So mostly I used to write poetry, and I enjoy the poetry, and it's very difficult to translate poetry. But still You asked very complicated question, so I will answer you in my poetry. And I know that you understand Hindi, but we enjoy a little bit. So, listen very carefully. This is our own reality. अपने आप से बोलता मैं, अपने आप से बोलता मैं, खुद से रिश्ता जोड़ता मैं। कितने अरमान हैं अधूरे, कितने अरमान हैं अधूरे, रात दिन क्या सोचता मैं। वो उफक पे चांद लटका, वो उफक पे चांद लटका, पाने को तन्हा दौड़ता मैं। मैं अपने से अजनबी, मैं अपने से अजनबी, फिर भेद किसका खोलता मैं। आती जाती सांसें हैं और बाहर भीतर डोलता मैं अपने से अजनबी, फिर हम अपने आप से अजनबी हैं। वी आर स्ट्रेंजर टू अवर सेल्फ। दैट्स वाई हाउ कैन वी say anything about aloneness? We don't know ourselves, so aloneness become just a kind of a gossiping the words, game of the words. So आती जाती सांसें हैं और बाहर भीतर डोलता मैं, सौ बार बनता बिगड़ता, सौ बार बनता बिगड़ता, फिर भी मन को जोड़ता मैं। खूब टटोला कुछ नहीं पाया, खूब टटोला कुछ नहीं पाया, खुद से किसको तोलता मैं। देयर इज नो अदर, हाउ कैन यू मेजर और वेट, और देयर इज नो अदर एग्जिस्ट। सो खूब टटोला कुछ नहीं पाया, व्हेन आई वाज ट्राइंग टू फाइंड माई सेल्फ आई हैव नॉट फाउंड एनीथिंग। देन खुद से किसको तोलता मैं, देयर इज नो अदर, सो हाउ कैन आई कंपेयर। मेरा यहाँ पर कुछ भी नहीं है, मेरा यहाँ पर कुछ भी नहीं है, फिर क्या पकड़ता छोड़ता मैं। मेरा यहाँ पर कुछ भी नहीं है, फिर क्या पकड़ता छोड़ता मैं। मृग मरीचिका सा यह जीवन, मृग मरीचिका सा यह जीवन, और सपनों के पीछे दौड़ता मैं। देखा है ना, क्षितिज पे क्षितिज दिखाई देता है बट है नहीं। मृग मरीचिका सा यह जीवन, और सपनों के पीछे दौड़ता मैं। और कहने को कुछ भी नहीं, और कहने को कुछ भी नहीं, फिर क्या किसी से बोलता मैं, फिर क्या किससे बोलता मैं। खुदा खौफ का नाम है दूजा, खुदा खौफ का नाम है दूजा, इस झूठ का भंडा फोड़ता मैं। तो ऐसा है चौबे जी। Well, we have tried little bit to talk in English. The aloneness is a real nature of the existence, and from that aloneness, everything comes and dissolves like ocean. Ocean is one, but there are a lot of waves, infinite. You cannot say millions and billions, etc. And spontaneously they arise and they dissolve and they meet into each other. Looks like two waves are meeting, but they are not two. This is one ocean playing with himself. So there is a constantly forms appear and disappear. Many forms we can observe, we can see it because they stay longer, and there is something which momentary like thoughts. They cannot, one thought cannot stay too long unless we concentrate and want to find out something. Otherwise, is like a river flowing, one thought, another thought, and whole art of meditation just to watch your own mind. Then maybe is possibility arise that slowly you become conscious of the watcher, and the watcher is not you, not me, not he or she, is simply witnessing consciousness, and that consciousness is a universal consciousness. Many times people call it soul or this or that. They are their own understanding or their own explanation. But as far as I understand, I think many ways of explaining the nothingness. And nothingness cannot be explained into words. Whenever we use word, we have to bring somebody else in front or in the mind. So thank you very much asking simple but very difficult question. Try to be silent and sit alone, and one day you realize that there's not you and no me and other this or that. Simply mind disappear for a moment, then this understanding happens spontaneously. Without that experiencing, we can talk about beating the bush, what kind of joke. It makes no sense. Does not matter. I can talk half an hour more, but it's useless. Unless you try and practice sit alone, still the body has to be still. Then slowly, slowly, mind will become still. Then once you get this stillness, then you can use this stillness. Even you walking, talking, doing things, this stillness is remain within. And this is because it is already there. You don't have to create it. Aloneness is always there. Before us we come into the world, or after we disappear, the aloneness remain. Thank you very much.